Today, we have a special guest who has been to a country that's laying out plans to turn a cryptocurrency into its national currency. Welcome, and please introduce yourself.
Yes, thanks, Pablo. So I'm Ralph Hofhacker. I've been with Pillar basically since the very beginning, 2017, participated in the ICO, then went with many others from all around the world to the famous Pillar conference in Slovakia in Poprad. And since then have been following closely the project and also took on the position of council member in the foundation here in Switzerland, in Zug, where I live. And since about a year now, I'm also the president of the Pillar Foundation and looking forward to cause proper change inside the Pillar project.
So it has been brought to my attention that you've recently been to El Salvador. And there have been some interesting developments regarding crypto in the country. Based on your knowledge and your experience in crypto, why do you think El Salvador has made the decision to have Bitcoin as legal tender?
Yeah, so this is, in my opinion, what I have observed and learned so far, mostly due to the president himself, Nayib Bukele. He has been elected in 2019, about 2.5 years ago. And in his mindset, he, I realized, wants to kind of cause proper change throughout the country. So he has done a lot of stuff differently from previous presidents who were more on the, let's say, politically extreme left and right side. He's more like in the middle and tries to, with his young age, cause proper change to reduce criminality, to improve the economic picture of his country. And as part of that, he went down the rabbit hole a few years ago, learned about Bitcoin, has followed the scene since as well, and listened to podcasts. He had Peter McCormack in his presidential suite, I believe. And he thinks that Bitcoin is sound money, is not only a technological invention, but also a monetary invention. And he strongly believes that using it as a legal tender in his country will bring about a lot of positive change.
Now, Bitcoin is often viewed as the digital gold, as a store of value. Do you see this fact negatively affecting the process? Should they have chosen a different approach, maybe tokenizing fiat or something similar?
So here I think this is really the most amazing part, because I mean, Bitcoin only has less than 13 years of age, and usually for something to become valuable in the mindset of many people, it takes a long time, right? I don't know how long gold took until it was considered store of value, but certainly for Bitcoin, this narrative is now something that is shared among many, many people already. Now, given that we have the Bitcoin main chain, where this notion of a store of value can be argued for very nicely, for the second monetary function, means of payment or money of exchange, the problem with the Bitcoin network is that to some extent it's quite expensive to exchange money, and it's also time consuming, right? Of course, compared to, let's say, traditional remittance services, MoneyGram and so forth, where it can take days until you receive a payment, it's different. But from a digital sense, there are other solutions out there that are more that are quicker. Therefore, this idea of using Bitcoin itself for means of exchange, it's not so, let's say, accepted and actually respected. Now, I think that that's exactly what I realized now in El Salvador. You really have to kind of think about Bitcoin, the main chain Bitcoin, the on-chain stuff being the store of value, like gold is, for example, and the Lightning Network, funnily enough, a second layer solution built on the same network, is actually fulfilling very nicely this idea of a means of exchange of Bitcoin. Just not Bitcoin, Satoshi instead, you could argue. So the lower denominated amounts that are just for a coffee, for a drink, a couple of cents, couple of euros or US dollars. And these payments, they are instant. They take a couple of seconds. The money that you exchange is small and it's done. It can be done like this. So what the guys in Bitcoin Beach, this Bitcoin education project that has been run there for about 2 years has very well done is to kind of develop this idea in the heads of the families to say, okay, you have Bitcoin, you can use it for store of value, but you can also use it, some portion of it, that you can avail of on a day-to-day basis for means of exchange. Because in the end, you maybe get paid for some stuff, you pay for some other stuff. So while you spend your Bitcoin, which is supposedly the store of value, because it's a very wide network, you can argue that this small amounts that you exchange, they are not burdening so heavily on the store of value function. So it actually is in parallel store of value and means of exchange, just on two different networks. That's actually exactly what I'm now doing. I keep 95% of my Bitcoin as store of value that I leave somewhere to work for me. And I have my Lightning wallets that I post with a couple of 100,000 Satoshi that I use for day-to-day expenses. Of course, not yet now so much in Switzerland, but hopefully now that Switzerland also has introduced this way of point of sale ability for merchants to accept Bitcoin and Ethereum payments, probably this will be extended also very soon to the Lightning Network.
Do you think Bitcoin is the de facto future payment solution, or are there crypto assets that could also fulfill this role, maybe to an even better extent?
That's a very tough question, and I think we cannot answer this concretely yet, because this depends on a lot of different factors that can influence this over time. I believe that because of the way Bitcoin works, the way Bitcoin is the most decentralized version of digital money, there is a strong possibility for this to kind of develop itself in a worldwide fashion over the next couple of decades. But you have other ones that also could become something like this, like Ethereum, or maybe even something like Cardano or Polkadot. It's very difficult to say. I believe that Bitcoin, because it's the first one and it's very decentralized in comparison, there's a good chance. But I'm not someone like a Bitcoin maximalist who says Bitcoin is the only thing that has the value to exist. I think there are many, many use cases that are out there in the blockchain and digital currency world that have a right to exist, and they have a right for different projects to kind of compete in the certain area to develop themselves. So I cannot give a concrete answer here. I have in mind that it will be kind of a competition, and I see Bitcoin as being one of the favorites.
I personally agree with you in the sense that there's room for many cryptos to shine under the sun.
Good way to depict it, yeah.
Different issues will call for different solutions. So we should see how it all unfolds.
Exactly. And the good thing is that I feel honored actually to observe this, because that's a huge, in my opinion, a huge industrial technological revolution that we are honored to be witnessing, to be honest.
It's very exciting indeed. Now, how do you see issues such as volatility being handled for business owners and other users?
Yeah, so this is one of the key topics that I wanted to understand and learn while I was in El Salvador. And in the end, I think that it fully depends on how familiar you are with Bitcoin itself and what it means to have it, what it means to keep it and to spend it. And while I was in Bitcoin Beach, in this surfer village, and talked to many different people, it just showed me that due to their involvement in the last 2 years, they have learned quite a lot about how Bitcoin works. And they understand the volatility, and they don't see it as a concern too much. They rather see it as an opportunity. And what they do is basically, whenever they feel that they need to convert some Bitcoin into something else, they now have, as I said before, this Strike app that they can use on their phone to just switch to convert some of their Bitcoin into this US dollar that Strike hosts on their app. So I have seen people and I have seen merchants that do not only have a Bitcoin QR code for the Lightning Network, for example, they also have a QR code for Strike. And what Strike then does is basically it uses the Lightning Network to receive the Bitcoin, and then it converts it on the phone of the user to US dollar. So what people do is they keep parts in Bitcoin and parts in this US dollar equivalent.
So hello everyone, I'm here now in the first shop at El Zonte in El Salvador. All the shops that accept Bitcoin, I see that they have some kind of a symbol outside that they accept Bitcoin as means of payment. And what they have around here is a specific app that has been developed by a team over here, which is called Bitcoin Beach. And here what you can see on my screen is that I currently have about $50 US of value expressed in Bitcoin in my wallet. And what I can do now is I can just hit here on scan QR code. And then if I hover it over the QR code on the wall, it resolves with the username Roxy_V. And now I can set the amount, which is I think 1,50, ¿verdad? So I type in $1.50, which then resolves itself into the Satoshi amount that resembles the $1.50 at this very moment. And now I can just hit send. I am here on LTE data, as you can see, and now the payment has been successfully sent. So what we can see now is that basically the merchant has been paid with instant finality, meaning that this money is directly in Roxy's wallet, and it does not go through the typical credit card payment trail of taking 2 days or more. So now I'm very happy and I will enjoy my Sandia drink. Thank you very much.
And also the guys who work with Bitcoin Beach, about 100 members, they receive partially their salary already in Bitcoin entirely, or some 50-50 or 30-70, depending on their risk appetite. And this is the particular situation in this micro economy in El Zonte and El Tunco in this surf villages in El Salvador. When you go anywhere else, I mean, I've not been to many other places because I've only been there for like 5-6 days, but where I was and I asked people, they didn't even understand Bitcoin in the first place, right? So there's a huge difference between the small part where people are familiar with and the rest of the country, the rest of 99.9%, who still need a lot of education and understanding to really know what it means to have Bitcoin, right? One point is, though, what the people see on their app is mostly US dollars, right? So while they have Satoshi in their wallet, it's always expressed in a more visible way in US dollars than in Bitcoin or Satoshi. So they see the fluctuating US dollar amount. When they have their Strike app, they see the non-fluctuating US dollar amount. So what I can see is over time that maybe the merchants and the users or the ones who buy stuff, they decide for themselves how they want to handle it. We always have to consider that, I don't know, here in the Western world, currencies are stable. You only have the implicit inflation. You don't see this on a daily basis. Your Swiss franc, your pound, your euro, or your US dollars, they stay with the same value in your account. But the real value of this money to purchase stuff also changes over time, right? So hence you are thinking that your money is stable, but your money is not stable at all. When you have a wallet that expresses the Bitcoin value in the other currency, you see a fluctuating value, but it's for real. You know exactly then at that moment what your Bitcoin is worth in this other currency that it is quoted in. Over time, let's see if Bitcoin manages to move forward even to the unit of account monetary function, when then prices are expressed in Bitcoin or in Satoshi. It's going to be a long time until this happens, if at all, in my opinion, but maybe it will happen.
From what I can gather at the moment, Do you see the KYC measures the country is proposing as a bit heavy-handed?
I mean, this whole KYC compliance topic is huge, of course, throughout the world. And I think that with El Salvador introducing Bitcoin just kind of out of the blue as a legal tender, kind of makes the whole Bitcoin and cryptocurrency topic to become even more a real topic than it was before. And while, let's say, in the more developed countries, Western countries, where there is already quite a strict KYC and AML policy framework in place, in the country like El Salvador, the KYC topic might appear sooner or later as well. With the way it's done currently and the way I believe it will be done, it is still to some extent not so KYC focused, just because in the end the way the Bitcoin payments, mostly based on the Lightning Network, the second layer solution, is kind of digital cash in a certain way. So you don't need to have the person known that sends you the money, as long as you just have a Lightning invoice that you can present to be paid. I still have seen that there are huge plans in place in El Salvador to have the whole Strike network laid out in the country, where sooner or later you're supposed to be able to go to any sort of gas station or any sort of grocery store, and then you are allowed to withdraw from your Lightning wallet on your smartphone any digital Satoshi or dollar that you might have into real cash. And at that point, somehow you need to be known, I suppose, depending on the amount. And how this is done is, in my opinion, knowledge, not yet fully fledged out. There will be this national Chivo wallet that the president is also subsidizing with an airdrop of $30. And for registering there, you need to provide your DUI. That's the kind of the El Salvadorian identification number of each citizen of the country. And with this, probably you are able to do the necessary KYC.
They want it to be legal tender after all, so there will be need for KYC of some sort. The concern is for people in the crypto communities who believe this approach might hurt the anonymity aspect of this universe. Do you think they should steer it in a direction that is more like cash, where you don't necessarily have trackers and heavy identifiers in place?
I believe so. I mean, as I said before, I mean, there is this way of staying anonymous, mostly when you are making payments inside the Lightning Network, right? So this is the major difference between the Bitcoin main chain, which is only pseudonymous but not anonymous. And on the Lightning Network, your payments are anonymous because no one is able to understand where your money is coming from and where your money is going. Only you and the destination of the money. And in this way, when you are making payments inside this network, I believe that you can still keep the anonymity. But when you have to make use of this money outside of this network, then of course, it's like with anything else, if you change from a certain network to another one, and this other network needs to understand where the money is coming from, you need to have some sort of knowledge about the origin of this money. And this is something where I believe, as long as a country like El Salvador is still 99.9% cash-based, with this, it will take a long time until you can argue that crypto-based payments will stay anonymous for everyone. And I mean, this issue in general is an issue for, let's say, maybe us who are more concerned about this because we know what can be lost. But for those guys, I mean, they are actually probably not so concerned yet because they have completely different problems. And for them to be able to receive money in an instant from even outside the country, and then using it on a day-to-day basis for doing the stuff that they usually need to spend a lot of time and money for, probably that's maybe a concern that comes later.
All right, we're coming to a close. So I wanted to ask just one last question. What do you have to say to those who still believe crypto is nothing more than a pyramid or a Ponzi scheme?
Well, I mean, honestly speaking, I understand people who are not familiar with the concept that it looks like a tulip bubble, like a dot-com bubble, like 2008 and 9 with the whole credit crisis, that it can just blow up. It's a matter of us who understand the value and understand the mechanism, understand what it can bring to all of us in terms of improvement. You know, the technology is only accepted by the majority of people if it is at least 10 times faster, 10 times cheaper, 10 times better, let's say. And if we have these people who still think that, I, of course, don't like it, but I also don't judge too much, because I have also myself a lot of topics where I think they don't make sense. And it's just that I don't know well enough to make a proper judgment. And it's easier for me than to make this, let's say, a bit negative statement about something. So I have had a tough time recently with Nassim Taleb. I don't know if you guys know him. He's in the risk management and, let's say, more academic mathematical world, someone who has gained a lot of reputation over time. He has written a lot of books that are known worldwide, like The Black Swan, like Anti-Fragile. And I've read a couple of those books and was very amazed by the concepts that he raised. And he also wrote a foreword to the Bitcoin standard. And recently he decided to go completely against Bitcoin, right? So this is the bigger concern, I think, not the people who, without knowing, think it's a bubble or it's a complete fraud. The people who have already been, let's say, understanding the concepts and then go against it because of some personal issues with people out there in the space who he doesn't like. So in the end, it doesn't matter how, we always, who know, need to tell them who don't know how, or who don't want to understand what we think, what we stand for, and then little by little, the world will understand better, and the whole improvement that it can bring will be accepted and will move forward accordingly.
So have faith and press on.
Onwards and upwards, exactly, yes.
All right, Ralph, thank you so much for your time and hope to see you next time.
Thanks, Pablo, for the interview. I feel very honored to have given my insights that I gained throughout the time. Honestly speaking, as I said before, this is a huge movement that is starting to take place in El Salvador, reaching out through Latin America and also the Western world. I would recommend everyone who is capable of traveling to El Salvador in the next couple of months to witness for themselves and to kind of, as usual, stay informed, inform yourself more, and just live with the moment of this incredible, awesome technology that is to bring about the huge change in the world.